Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishniki. So we're reading from the Bhagavat Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the life's work of His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I know that his spiritual master, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, said that when the pralaya comes, the Mahapralaya, right, the flooding of this universe and everything's being washed away, one is forced to take shelter of something very valuable. You know, the most valuable thing we have, we should be holding on tightly to. So he said that we should hold on to this Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he said that even if that is too much, you know, three big, there's a lot of books actually to hold with one's own hands. So if you have to let go of something, first you can let go of Bhagavad Gita, if you have to. Then he said that even further, if you have to let go of something else, then you let go of Srimad Bhagavatam. But never let go of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Because in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, all of the scriptures, everything that we need to know from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami so expertly compiles that philosophy to accompany the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. But today we're reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, and this, maybe we'll speak a little bit about Lord Chaitanya and some of the insights we receive from his disciples, from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But they say that the Bhagavad Gita is like the undergrad. The Srimad Bhagavatam that we're reading from today is like the postgraduate study of devotional service, because the final chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it ends with basically the conclusion of all of Krishna's teachings to Arjuna in the middle of the battlefield is Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mame vaishyasi satyam te pratij... Huh? No. Manmana bhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Oh, I've forgotten the most important verse. Huh? And basically always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, offer obeisances unto me, and in that way become my devotee. And then just after that, sarva dharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma suchaha. So give up all different types of religion and just surrender unto me. So this verse, actually, if we look at the first two verses of this Bhagavat Purana, Srimad Bhagavatam, we hear Dharma Prajita Kaitavotra Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam. This Bhagavat Purana is the spotless Purana, the pure Purana, because it immediately rejects all forms of cheating religion. So, giving up all dharma and just surrendering to Krishna, just engaging in pure bhakti, devotional service. That is the essence of this Srimad Bhagavatam. And the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita is like the master's, the post-graduate study of that devotion. So today we've invoked the auspiciousness to read from this Purana, which has been given to us by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So please repeat after me. We're reading from the 4th canto. The chapter is the 25th and the verse is the 22nd. Sunasam sudatim balam Sunasam sudatim balam Sukapolam varanam Sukapolang varananam Samavinyasta karnabhyam Samavinyasta karnabhyam Bhibratim kundalashriyam Bhibratim kundalashriyam Sunasam sudatim balam Sukapolam virananam Samavinyasta karnabhyam Bhibratim kundalashriyam Mataji's. All right, we'll go through the word-for-word translation. Sunasam, very beautiful nose. Sudatim, very beautiful teeth. Balam, the young woman. Sukapolam, nice forehead. Varananam, beautiful face. Sama, equally. Vinyasta, arranged. Karnabhyam, both ears. Bibhratim, dazzling. Kundalashriyam, having beautiful earrings. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation, please repeat. The woman's nose, teeth and forehead were all very beautiful. Her ears were equally very beautiful and were bedecked with dazzling earrings. Purport. The body of intelligence enjoys the objects of sense gratification that cover it, such as smell, vision, and hearing. The word Suna Asam, beautiful nose, indicates the organ for acquiring knowledge by smell. Similarly, the mouth is the instrument for acquiring knowledge by taste, for by chewing an object and touching it with the tongue, we can understand its taste. The word Sukapolam, nice forehead, indicates a clear brain capable of understanding things as they are. By intelligence, one can set things in order. The earrings set upon the two ears are placed there by the work of the intelligence. Thus, the ways of acquiring knowledge are described metaphorically. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Okay, sorry, second time this week you have to listen to me speak. It's only Wednesdays. So, very similar verse. We're sort of still painting the picture, right? Narad Muni is describing to King Prachinabharishat the allegory of King Puranjan. So, as we've said a few times, Puranjan means that living being who is embodied, right? That the soul which is in the body. Krishna spends a lot of time trying to establish this is like the first step in spiritual knowledge. So in the first 3 or so chapters of Bhagavad Gita, actually the whole first 6 chapters are dealing with this jnana, understanding I am not this body, I am the spirit soul. The soul can never be cut, can never be burnt, can never be wet. The soul has always existed and it will always continue to exist. The soul is all-pervading in the sense that everywhere you go in creation, you will find life, you will find living beings. Dehinosmin yata dehe. So the deha is the body, and the one who is in the body is dehinosmin yata dehe, traveling through childhood, youth, adolescence, adulthood, and old age. Komaram, Yovanam, Jara, Tata dehantara prabdir. So Dhiras tatra namushiti. Those who are sober, those who have come to absorb this jnana, are not bewildered by such changes of body. It's also explained that as a shirt becomes old, it gets holes in it, one naturally throws it away when it is no longer useful. They take a new shirt and they put a new shirt on. So in the same way, the soul, that which is embodied, when the body is becoming useless, it's falling apart, the teeth are falling out, the hair is going, the muscles are weak and fragile, right? Then naturally the soul, it's time to move on. It's also described that like one lifts one foot as the other lands while walking. And then when that other foot is grounded, they can lift the previous foot. So the soul, as this current body is falling away, at the very same time we are creating our next birth, creating our next body by our actions in this life. And it, again, further, it's explained, many beautiful analogies are given by Krishna, that the way an aroma is carried by the breeze. In the same way, the soul carries the mind and the intelligence and the false ego, the subtle body. These three elements, which consist of the subtle body, are carried by the soul at the time of death to the next body. So we're also hearing about these different senses, the nose, the suna asam of the woman who is representing the intelligence. So Puranjana is wandering, looking for a city, which represents the body. The soul wandering around looking for the suitable body. Purusha prakriti stohi bhunkte prakriti jan gunan karanam gunasangosya sadasa joni janmasu. So the living being is trying to experience pleasure in this material world, trying to enjoy. And as a result of that, it's forced to wander all through the material creation, looking for a body in which to act in relation to the material world. And as a result of that, it comes in contact with the material nature, which gives it different bodies, right? Yantra rudani mayaya, vehicles made of blood, mucus, bile, bone, fat, these different very attractive elements that we're all made of. The material nature provides in a particular arrangement that suits the modes of nature which that living being wants to enjoy through, right? So it's said that urdvam gachanti sattvasto madhyatishtanti rajasaha jaganyaguna vrittista adho gachanti tamasaha. So one who is through their action, karanam gunasangosya, one who has acquired through their actions in this life an affinity with the mode of goodness, sattva. They go upwards at the time of death. They go to the heavenly planets. They get the subtle bodies of those of the demigods, or apsaras, kinnaras, gandharvas, vidyadharas. Very many different planets are there for us to enjoy. Longer lifespans, more youthful, energetic senses, right? We find in this body that it doesn't take long for the senses to start giving up on us, right? And so here in this verse we're also hearing about how along with the intelligence come the senses. And different senses are there for different types of enjoyment. So this material intelligence which we're associating with, which is represented by the woman, it comes with various arrangements of senses. If you look at different animal life, right? We were hearing from His Grace Kamsari Prabhu just recently about how different animals have prominence of different senses. You can see how a dog is driven by its nose, or the hog which seeks out different mushrooms and trifles and things in the dirt with its nose, despite being almost blind. In the same way, the fish is described to be completely controlled by its tongue. It's looking everywhere for something to taste until it latches onto the fish hook, right, and it dies. The musk deer is allured by the sense of smell, so it's looking everywhere for the source of that fragrance, which is coming from its own body, until it completely exhausts itself and gives up its life. The elephant is allured by the sense of touch, and it's always looking for that she-elephant which it can mate with, right? And so the expert hunter will place a female elephant right next to a big pit, so that the elephant, seeing her, runs towards and falls in the pit, and that's how they capture the elephant. So like that, there are many different examples in the animal kingdom of various ways that we can go and become victims of different senses. And if we cultivate that in this life, then this is the result. One who is associating with the mode of passion, rajagun, they stay in this middle range of the planetary systems, the 14 planetary systems. So they stay in this human life with an opportunity to enjoy and suffer and achieve something temporary. And then one who associates with the mode of darkness or the mode of ignorance, tamogun, goes down to hellish planets, right? Tanaham dushata kruran sangsareshu naradamaha. One who develops these demoniac qualities of envy hatred, right? Krishna pushes them again and again and again into the hellish planets where they suffer for a very long time. So to go down that path, it's an option if we want. We have complete control and responsibility for our mental state, and the actions which we do in this life, we are consciously cultivating. So we're hearing about the senses which accompany the woman, right? The intelligence, and she is similarly adorned with various ornaments. So I thought to accompany the kind of heavy reality of, the philosophy of understanding, right, the situation that we're in the material world. We could also hear a bit about the ornaments which accompany those who have transcended the material modes. It's explained that, we have one brahmachari in the temple here in North Sydney named Bhava Vibhushan Prabhu, right? So he has a very beautiful name. It's referring to the ornaments adorned with one who is on the platform of Bhav. So in his Madhurya Kadambini, who wrote that? Madhurya Kadambini. Bhakti Siddh, yeah, right. So this is a very wonderful book which explains the various stages that a practitioner of Bhakti Yoga goes through. It's a very clear map that if we study this book, we can always understand where we are at in our devotion, and we can get reminded that we're because alongside various stages, there are certain actions which are expected or required, and so if we falsely view ourselves on a higher platform than we are, we might perform the wrong activities for our level. Similarly, if we falsely think ourselves on a lower platform, we might also perform the wrong activities for a devotee at such a level. So it's a useful book to study, and it explains that one goes through these various stages. Adho Shraddha, bhakti begins with faith, actually. It's interesting, we often talk about bhakti as a science. It's a very practical process. We have a lot of philosophy, a lot of theory, a lot of knowledge, which has been given to us by the experts who have gone through this path many times. And then we have the experiments. So we have the hypothesis, right? You're not this body, you're a spirit soul. So instead of just blindly accepting it, we encourage people to follow the experimental process, the scientific process of engaging in a spiritual practice and finding out experientially if that is true. And if it's true, then you can accept it. So when we hear that it begins with faith, it's kind of confusing, right? Like Shraddha. But I was hearing that Shraddha, actually, it's given a very specific definition in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shraddha shabdhe vishvas kahe vishvas sudridha nischay Krishna bhakti koile sarva karma krita hoy. That Shraddha is the firm faith and the unflinching conviction that all kinds of activities, sarva karma, are achieved simply by engaging in Krishna's devotional service. So again, this faith isn't something that we just blindly accept. This is something that we gradually develop by experience and by jnana, and by knowledge as well. It's very logical actually to understand that behind this entire reality there is an operator. And if you can develop a reciprocal relationship with that operator, they can help you fix everything very quickly. Similarly, the example is given of watering the root of the tree. If you simply water the root, the whole tree becomes nourished. So just by engaging in devotion to the supreme operator, right, the substratum of all of reality, right, the creator, the maintainer, the destroyer. And Krishna says that one should know that before this creation began, he was present, just himself. During this creation, everything that is manifest, again, it is just Krishna himself. And after this whole creation is annihilated, what is left? It's just Krishna himself. So if we can have a loving relationship with that totality, which encapsulates everything, doesn't it make sense that everything that we're trying to do on our own, by our own independence, will be taken care of? So logically it is there. But then experientially as well, we can see, when we just chant Hare Krishna attentively in the morning, the whole day goes so smoothly, you know? Everything is taken care of. But if we sleep in, and we chant a few rounds here and there, and we scroll on our phone, suddenly all those to-do lists which are building up and piling up day after day after day, they seem like, right? It's the example is given, right, of the vast ocean of material existence or material suffering. It can become just like a little hoofprint. Like, that's like not just poetic exaggeration. You can experience that. You know, sometimes you wake up in the morning and just the day ahead, just those to-do lists feel like the vast ocean of material suffering. You really feel completely incapable. I don't know how I'm going to do it today. Like, I'm just going to quit. I'm just going to lie here in bed, I think. But if we can then just pick up a very heavy bead bag, you know, in that moment, sometimes even just the first few mantras, you can notice such a shift in your consciousness. You can enter the spiritual world just by touching your, you know, japamala. You can, right, in the spiritual world it's said that every step is a dance, right? Everything is made of chintamani stone, right? So chintamani means like it's wish-fulfilling potency. Just the marble stones in the temple here are chintamani. If you just look at one of these marble squares and say like, today I have to do this, it's feeling kind of difficult, can you help me out? If you're attentively chanting Hare Krishna, all of these desires are taken care of. Because Krishna is completely potent. Everyone in the spiritual world is in love, right? There is no enmity in the spiritual world. We create so many enemies out of our envy and our pride and our jealousy, and you sit down and you just chant Hare Krishna in the morning, and you can watch, like, you can battle your mind, right, for however many hours trying to say like, no, I shouldn't think that about that person. They're not that bad, right? Like, maybe I'm, you know, and you try and think your way out of it. You try and think yourself into the quality of a pure devotee. But if you just chant Hare Krishna, it's amazing how immediately you don't even, like, what am I getting hung up about? It doesn't even matter. You know, this is a devotee. I love them, you know. Very quickly, the holy name can take us to the spiritual world. So we can experience, to some extent, you know, even at the very beginning stages of devotional service, that Shraddha, which is the beginning, can be given by glimpses of the potency of bhakti. Krishna bhakti, koile sarva karma krita hoy. So the next stage after faith is sadhu sangha. When one develops some attraction to Krishna, to the holy name, starts coming to the temple. Maybe originally we just come on Janmashtami day, we give some donation, we get some sukriti, we might take some prasad, and then next year again, Janmashtami day comes around, we line up for an hour outside the temple. And Krishna sees that, and we develop a little bit more attraction to the devotees, to the temple. So maybe we'll start coming once a month or something like that. And one devotee might engage us, hey, we're building a new temple, you want to give a monthly donation? So now we become a bit more regulated in our service, in our sangha, association with devotees. So gradually we start coming more and more regularly. We develop more taste for prasadam. My spiritual master often says that, you know, many of us, we don't have that taste for chanting Hare Krishna. We don't have that taste for reading Srimad Bhagavatam. We don't have that taste for listening to Bhakta Ed speak a second time in 3 days. But we might have some taste for prasadam. And many devotees come to Krishna consciousness just by prasadam. Yeah, many devotees. They can say, ask them, how did you come to Krishna consciousness? Oh, I had that Janmashtami Abhishek, that was so nice. Or, you know, I came and the Rajma, you know, on Wednesday nights, oh, you know, I would pack that. Even, what is it? Steve Jobs, you know, regularly. He used to walk many miles just to get the prasadam of Krishna. So, gradually we increase our association until, right, in Nectar of Instruction it's explained that very favorable for devotional service is Sangha Tyaga, to give up the association of those who are antagonistic to devotional service, and Jana Sanghas, to accept the association of the devotees. So when this becomes a principle in one's life, then one is fixed in sadhu sangha, and one can really start taking up the next step in devotional service, which is, what's it called? Anartha Nivriti, right? The cleansing of the heart, which is considered to be out of all the stages, it's kind of like the really, really big one in the middle. The other ones might be like a few lifetimes or a couple of years or something, but Anartha Nivriti, yeah, it takes a lot of work. But it can be very quick for some. Those who study these different stages and they study what is required for one at these different stages, they know how to act at their particular stage. They take guidance from senior devotees so that they can also teach them how to act at their particular stage. They move very quickly through this process. So in Anartha Nivriti, we have already accumulated so many dirty things in our heart over so many lifetimes. We were talking about the different animal species, that are available for one who has cultivated different modes of nature through their actions in this life. So material nature, they give them a particular body. And we do all kinds of crazy things. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that actually every single person in this room, or everyone listening, or everyone on this planet, we've been Brahma, we've been an ant, we've been everything in between. So we've been in the material nature since time immemorial. If you think about what that means, every possible sinful activity that exists, even the ones that you don't even want to imagine, every one of us has done them, probably many times, right? And this is sitting in our chitta, our subconscious. So we're trying to practice devotional service, and we're finally starting to clean up that attic, right? His Holiness Devamrita Swami Maharaj, one of the first things I heard him speak, first time I heard him give an online class during COVID, he said that when you finally go up into the attic and you start taking out all the old boxes and finding out what you need to throw, a lot of dust gets kicked up, a lot of cobwebs. You start coughing and sneezing and you think, why am I doing this? I'm just suffering. I'll just leave it, Often we feel like that when we come to this stage of Anartha Nivriti. Initially it's all sweet, it's all nice. You got this, enthusiastic faith. You've discovered this new thing. Let's do it, and you found these beautiful devotees. Prasadam, you can chant Hare Krishna in the kirtan, ecstatic. And then Anartha Nivriti. Right. And then you realize, it's not just a joyful cleansing the heart all the time, We can come face to face with a lot of demons. I was just reading the pastime of the battle, the great battle between the demons and the demigods. And it's very intense, actually. Big dust clouds are being, by the forceful legs hitting the battlefield, the earth in the battlefield, the legs of the demons and the demigods, right? All of the sons of Kashyapa, right? The children of Diti and Aditi, all the Daityas and Adityas, demons and demigods are kicking up the dust on the battlefield, creating a vast cloud that fills all directions of the sky. But then, there's so much killing in this war that between the demons and the demigods, right? All of us have these demons and demigods in us. There's such violent battle. Some of them are riding like crocodiles, some of them are riding elephants, lions, all kinds of things. There's people riding like red monkeys and white monkeys, and it's just such an amazing thing to imagine, actually. It described the demigods, their garments are blowing in the wind, right? And they're wearing these helmets and earrings, and they all look so amazing, actually. Even the demons are such, prominent personalities. So it's an incredible battlefield to like just even meditate upon. But the killing is so intense, right? You can see heads lying on the ground with the teeth still biting the lips and the eyebrows still frowning in anger. And hands are still holding, completely severed from the body. The arms are still holding onto their weapons, right? Various weapons, clubs, swords, bows, arrows, all kinds of things you can imagine. And these body parts are lying all over the place, and blood is being sprayed up as far as the sun. So intense is this battle. And when those blood drops start to sprinkle back down, the dust cloud which has been kicked up by the demons and demigods is becoming all dispersed, and the particles are coming back down as well. So such an intense scene, and sometimes it feels like that, like that as well in our hearts, right? When we're going through this anartha nivriti. But just when the demigods are feeling weak, and incapable, they surrender, like Gajendra, right? They surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the 8-armed form of Lord Vishnu appears on Garuda. And we can meditate on that as well. When we feel like this anartha nivriti is just too difficult, maybe I should just give up. This Krishna consciousness, often I hear my spiritual master, he says that, what is the symptom of a devotee? I mean, this is what we're trying to get towards. The ornaments that a devotee wears, right? Not just the materialistic intelligence is decorated with these ornaments, but the spiritual intelligence, or the devotee, carries various ornaments. So, does anyone know any verse in Bhagavad Gita which describes the symptoms of a devotee? There must be a couple, if there's anyone who can think of anything. Yeah, Sadatam Kirtayantamam, Bhavaprabhu said. Always chanting the glories of the Lord. A similar one, Matchita Matgata Prana, always absorbed in remembering me. Bodhayanta Parasparam Kathayantaschamam Nitya, always absorbed in discussing my activities and my glories with other devotees. And very importantly, the one I struggle with, Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha. My spiritual master often says that a devotee is always joyful. One who is Krishna conscious is joyful. Right, so we're going through this anartha nivriti, and it's a big, big, gruesome battlefield. But actually, Krishna consciousness is joyful. And if we're not feeling joyful, we should really, really realize that something isn't right. We're pretending to do devotional service, but actually there's not much Krishna consciousness going on. So at that stage, the demigods, they surrender, and the 8-armed Lord Vishnu appears with all of his 8 different weapons on the back of Garuda. It's said that he's spreading his lotus feet over the shoulders of Garuda, right? And he appears there, and he slays so many demons, right? I forgot some of their names. Mali and Sumali are there, and the previous incarnation of Kamsa, is that his name? I can't remember his name, but yeah, many demons Lord Vishnu slays, and the demons, they become weak, and the demigods become powerful, and that order is restored. Actually, the whole pastime is so incredible, of the churning of the ocean of milk. I tried counting it. I think there's like 14 or 15 times where Lord Vishnu, like the whole thing is the demigods overcoming the demons, right? Churning the ocean of milk, getting the nectar from the ocean, and then the demigods take it. And that with that nectar, they finally, after many years of oppression, get their strength back over the demons. But there was, I think, like 14 times in that entire pastime where Lord Vishnu takes a different form to take care of the whole situation. Like in the very beginning, Lord Vishnu gives the instruction to the demigods, just do this, just go to the ocean of milk, get Vasuki, churn Mount Mandara, then this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, don't worry about that, I'll take care of this. He gives the whole prediction, and with that instruction comes the empowerment. So then the demigods go, they round up the demons, hey, well, let's make a truce, and they grab the big Mount Mandara, this vast mountain. It's got like cities on it, this humongous mountain, trees and all kinds of bushes and all kinds of things, elephants, all kinds of animals living. But the demons and the demigods are carrying it along to the ocean of milk, right? Kshirodana. And it's a very heavy mountain. So at some point the mountain, their arms are breaking under the weight, and they give and they collapse, and many of the demons and demigods are actually killed, squashed by the Mount Mandara, just on the way to the ocean of milk. So Lord Vishnu immediately appears. He picks the whole mountain up with one hand, and just by glancing at the demons and the demigods, they come back to life. All their bruises and wounds are gone, and all of their lamentation, all of their suffering is gone. They just feel ready to keep going, right? So they continue. He puts the mountain on the back of Garuda, and they get to the ocean of milk, and they put it in. Then they start churning. They bring Vasuki, and Lord Vishnu is even there on the side of the demigods, Before this, again, he helps them. He's very cleverly, he grabs the head of Vasuki, the snake, the very poisonous side, the side you probably wouldn't want to be grabbing. Has anyone seen someone grab a snake to take it off the road safely, or maybe to kill it if they're a bit fired up? You stand very far back from behind it and you grab the tail, and immediately you throw the poisonous end away. But Lord Vishnu grabs the head of the snake and he says, "Demigods, come, let's do it, let's churn the ocean of milk." And all the demons are like, "What? I want to hold the head of the snake." That's not fair. So then the demons, they're complaining, we should hold the head of the snake. We're big, strong demons. So Lord Vishnu says, "Okay, you can hold the head of the snake." And then the demons are very happy and they grab the hold of the poisonous end of the snake. And so like that, they start churning. And as Vasuki gets, burnt out by this hard labor, all the flames and the poison are pouring out all over the demons. And the demigods are just happily. I think there's described actually, there's nice cool breezes are blowing on the demigod side. The ocean of milk is spraying up nice, to cool them down while Vasuki's breathing fire on the demons. Right? So again, Lord Vishnu arranges things perfectly. But then Mount Mandara sinks despite all of their effort. So he comes as Kurmadev and becomes the support of the rod which is Mount Mandara for the churning of the ocean of milk. Kurmadev is there underneath, but not only is he underneath and on the side pulling Vasuki, but now he's on top as well. The 1,000-armed form of Vishnu is keeping balance of Mount Mandara, right? So I don't know, I've lost count already, but that's quite a few ways that Lord Vishnu is helping. Then he expands himself into the demons as the mode of passion, into the demigods as the mode of goodness, and into Vasuki, the snake, right? As the mode of ignorance, so that they can keep going with more vigor before they're about to give up. Again, he arranges everything. Then the poison starts coming out of the ocean of milk, right? Things are finally working, things are happening, and the first thing that comes out is poison. Just what we're looking for. So poison is filling up the sky, the clouds are becoming filled with poison, the milk ocean is becoming filled with poison, poison is going everywhere. What happens? Lord Shiva, right, the Guna avatar of Lord Vishnu, comes and takes just one palm, he takes all of that poison and sips it, right? So he takes care of that, problem solved. What comes next? We have a painting in the temple room actually, I never realized, but this is Dhanvantari, who is a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu. So the reason he's surrounded by, just whiteness, usually Krishna is in a big beautiful dham, right, abode, and he's surrounded by many associates. So when I saw this, I thought it was a bit impersonalist, just Lord Vishnu in a cloud. Actually, that's Dhanvantari emerging from the ocean of milk, which is why he's surrounded by white. And he's carrying with him the Amrit, or maybe it's not the Amrit, I'm not sure. The healing herbs and various sattvic elements. So Dhanvantari is emerging, which is again a plenary portion of Lord Vishnu, giving some more benedictions. Then finally the Amrita comes, right? And immediately the demons snatch it and run away. So what happens? Lord Vishnu expands his material illusory energy into the minds of the demons, and he makes them start quarreling with each other. Who gets to take it first? So he saves the day again, and as they're fighting, now a very, very wonderful thing happens. We're hearing about the beautiful woman of the material intelligence which attracts the living being. But it's explained in Brihad Bhagavatamrita that in one of the layers of the very final layer of the material creation, material universe, the layer of false ego, Maya Devi herself is worshipping this avatar of Lord Vishnu, Mohini Murti. So Mohini Murti is the most beautiful female form conceivable. If one has the chance to have darshan of Mohini Murti, I don't know what will happen. But the demons are completely bewildered, and she comes and she speaks very sweet words and tricks them into basically giving the Amrit back to her, and says that whatever I do with this Amrita, you have to accept it. The demons are like, oh yes, we'll accept it. Yeah. So then she says, she arranges that the demons sit very, very far away. There's a big arena actually, that now they've moved away from the ocean of milk, and the distribution of the Amrita will take place. So there's a big arena, and Mohini Murti walks in, and the demons have to sit far away in the corner somewhere, right? And she goes and explains to the demons, the demigods, they're not like you guys. They're not, so mature, right? They want to be served first. I'll just give them a little bit, and then I'll come and help you out, right? So I'll just serve them first, if that's okay. Right? And like that, the demon's like, yes, right, thank you. So she goes and she starts distributing the Amrita to all of the demigods. And then it comes to place that Rahu, right? The antagonist of the sun and the moon, who's always causing disturbance, right? A demon has disguised himself amongst the demigods, and so he's just taking his first sip of the Amrita, right? This nectar of immortality. And I think it's Somadev and Suryadev, they realize and they cry out, Vishnu, help us! I think this might be the very last time, right? Number 14 out of the whole pastime, where Lord Vishnu comes and saves the day, and he cuts off the head of Rahu as he's drinking the Amrita. But because he's tasted that nectar of immortality, the head is still completely functioning. Right? This head is just floating above Sudarshan, just still fully conscious. So in that way, we see that this anartha nivriti process, yes, it's very difficult. Sometimes it's very scary when we see the skeletons that we've been hiding in the closet, and we see all the dust and cobwebs kicked up from the attic where we've been hiding all of these deep dark secrets for so many lifetimes. But if we remember how much, this is the process of devotional service actually. Basically we're in the hands of Lord Vishnu, and He is unlimitedly compassionate. He is so benevolent. All of these lifetimes that we've actually been willingly engaging in those terrible activities, cultivating that consciousness, even through that, He's been loving us and doing everything He can to get us closer to Him. So now that we're actually genuinely trying to approach Him, and these things against our will are coming up, we should never think that Lord Vishnu is, or Lord Krishna, right, our worshipable Lord, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. We should never think that they're looking down angrily upon us. They're doing everything they can. And everything that's taking place, everything that's carrying us through that process is actually, it's just the merciful hand of Lord Vishnu. So we come through Anartha Nivriti, and maybe I'll just quickly describe some of the ornaments, rather than the material intelligence, the ornaments which are adorned by one who comes then through the platform of Ruchi, right, taste for the chanting of the holy name, to the platform of Bhav, which is the penultimate stage of Krishna consciousness, the stage that comes before the final perfection of Krishna Prema, the ultimate goal. So, in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami explains 8 qualities of one who is on Anubhav platform, 8, maybe 6 qualities. Because often we hear about the ecstasies which are adorned by one who is on Bhava, in Bhav, right? There are many different symptoms of ecstasy, but these can be easily faked. One can easily train themselves to cry before the Lord, and they might not even be engaging in an Anartha Nivriti, but they can come into the temple and cry and roll around on the floor like Krishna, Krishna. But we shouldn't be fooled. In contrast, one who has these 6 or 8, I'm sorry, I can't remember, 6 or 8 symptoms, we'll count them together, of Anubhav. These cannot be faked. Very, very difficult to fake these ornaments, right? You can't just get the cheap plastic version, right? These ornaments are one-of-a-kind jewels of a devotee on Anubhav. So he explains, Srila Rupa Goswami, Kshantir avyartha kalatvam viraktir mana shunyata asha bandha samutkanta nama gane sadaruchi asaktis gunakyane tat gunakyane pritis tat vasatistale. So these 6 or 8 ornaments, we actually started a game, Ayush Prabhu and I, a few months back, where whenever we're driving somewhere, doing some service, trying to just kill some time, we go through this list of qualities and try and think of some example from Shastra. We might not have time to do this today, but maybe you can look up the verse, and if you ever get some time with the kids or with your friends, you can go through and try and think of some example from Shastra for each one of these qualities. I'll just tell the first one because Ayush Prabhu told one example and it's still stuck. I still think about it like most days. Kshantir. Right, Kshantir means tolerance. This is a symptom of one who is on Anubhav. So Ayush Prabhu explained that Ambarish Maharaj, he basically told the whole pastime of Ambarish Maharaj. And I thought it was so perfect actually, his tolerance towards Durvasa Muni. There's many stages to that tolerance, but very significant was that he had been fasting for a whole day, right? And I think, when we have that hunger and that fatigue from fasting on Ekadashi, that is the most susceptible time, at least for me, when intolerance comes out towards other devotees. Someone gets between you and your prasadam, it's like... But Ambarish Maharaj, he'd been fasting for 24 hours or 24 hours, must have been Ekadashi or something. And again, he explained that not just for himself, not just for his own personal benefit, but for to increase the piety of all of his citizens, right? To take away the sinful activity, sinful reactions of all of his citizens. Such a great king was Ambarish Maharaj that he performed this austerity. And then Durvasa Muni, who is also a great exalted personality, but at that point in time was, going through something. He came and was testing the sincerity of Ambarish Maharaj. I won't explain the whole pastime now because it's almost 9 o'clock. But I think you get the idea. Ambarish Maharaj tolerates this curse of Durvasa Muni. The next is Avyartha Kalatvam. This is one I try to think about a lot because I'm often finding myself cultivating tamogun rather than the transcendental qualities we've been describing. But Avyartha Kalatvam, you see this in many devotees. I often think about the senior brahmacharis that we have in North Sydney. Like we would love to just be, all of us, whether we're brahmacharis or grahastas, attending the morning program the whole way through every day. And that opportunity is very available to the brahmacharis, which is such a blessing, right? Such a rare opportunity. But even our senior brahmacharis, they have to leave before even darshanarti just to go and distribute prasadam to the different jivas across Sydney. And I see them, like often there's many different ways that we can spend our time, especially as devotees. And there's many things that we want to give up, but we struggle to give up. When you take up an excessive amount of service, when you fill up your entire day so that you're constantly anxious to engage in Krishna's service, to maintain those projects that you've taken up, you actually, whether you like it or not, you don't have time to talk idly with devotees. You don't have time to engage in prajalpa. You don't have time to scroll on your phone because you have so many things on your mind. And this is avyartha kalatvam. One is anxious to never waste a single second outside of Krishna's devotional service. Then we hear about kshantir avyartha kalatvam, viraktir, detachment, right? So you can see how maybe Bharat Maharaj, a nice example of someone who, when the time came and when the desire to engage in Krishna's service came, he walked away from his kingdom, his family, his children, his opulence, right? His fame, his followers, everything. He walked away from that the same way one leaves the bathroom after passing a stool, right? Very grave image. That's viraktir. Mana shunyata, this makes me think of Madhavendra Puri, Srila Madhavendra Puri. Just again, another whole pastime we'll briefly jump over, but he comes to Kirachor Gopinath, the Remuna, right? That exalted Dham. Srila Madhavendra Puri comes and he hears about the glories of this Kir, which Gopinath, the deity of Gopinath, is so attached to. And he just thinks, oh, if only I could taste that Kir, then I could serve it to my own deity back at home, right? Completely selfless. But then immediately he chastises himself. How could I think like that? Tasting, that thought of tasting, that was what is supposed to be enjoyed by Gopinath. So immediately he chastises himself. That is such an exalted quality in itself. But Gopinath, aware of the the thoughts in everyone's heart, steals some kheer or arranges some kheer to be given to Madhavendra Puri. And what is his response? Any of us would be like, wow, I'm so fortunate, I'm so special. And I'll go tell my friends, this crazy thing's happened. Krishna just gave me kheer. What? Can you believe that? No, immediately he is not in ecstasy. He's in ecstasy, but he's not feeling happiness. He's not feeling pride. He's not feeling joy. He's feeling anxiety and fear. As soon as people hear about this, I will be bombarded with followers and fame. What will be my position then? Out of complete humility, he's in such anxiety of the pride that will come. So he, mana shunyata, he runs as quick as he can to the next village to escape, right? So he's running in fear from pride, right? From respect. Imagine that, what that must be like, right? Mana shunyata, asha bandha. Maybe you can read through the poem written by Srila Prabhupada when he arrives in 1965 in America. This beautiful song, Markine Bhagavat Dharma. This is like the essence of Asha Bandha, hope. Prabhupada translates Asha Bandha as hope. So, mana shunyata, right? We're hearing about the humility of Madhavendra Puri, Srila Madhavendra Puri. Sometimes we feel like incapacitated by humility. How am I supposed to achieve anything? Often we avoid certain services because we feel like, how am I gonna achieve anything? How am I gonna be successful in that service? And there's so many better devotees than me. Actually, this isn't first-class humility. Real humility is to take up service despite one's disqualification because the need is there, right? Or because someone has asked us to. We put our own so-called humility aside and we take up that service. And how is that possible for a devotee who is really feeling humbled? It is this asha bandha, this hope that Krishna will take care. Krishna will make it possible. So Srila Prabhupada writes this beautiful song when he arrives in America, feeling completely incapable to carry out the order of his spiritual master. Asha bandha. Samutkanta is eagerness. There must be many, many examples of eagerness. Following that is nama gane sadaruchi, right? Attachment to the qualities and the name of Krishna. Always tasting, relishing the name of Krishna. Yeah, that's a difficult one. We can maybe just stick with prasada ruchi for now. Prasada ruchi. But if we can continue on with this anartha nivriti, we can come to that stage maybe one day of tasting the holy name. Then finally the last two, asaktis tat gunakyane, which is attachment to the, nam sada nama guna gune ruchi, always tasting the names of Krishna, and then asaktis tat gunakyane, attachment to hearing about the qualities and pastimes of Krishna. And then finally, pritis tat vasatistale. So interestingly, Prabhupada translates this as attachment to always residing in the holy places, dham, but also the temple of Krishna. So this reminds me of, anyone here who is attached to coming to the temple is exhibiting this quality, but I've heard many times of the different services that His Grace Ganesham Prabhu has been called to, in different places. Even in the holy dham in India, he's been called to do various services there, but out of his attachment to this temple, right, and his service here, and his attachment to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath, many, many times he's declined these opportunities to visit the holy dham because he is so attached to the temple of North Sydney. Right, so ISKCON Sydney is a yatra and it is a holy dham. And actually the whole of Sydney is a dham because Sri Sri Radha Gopinath lives here. This is the city of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. Sometimes I would go for runs through the local suburbs, through Camaray. You go down to Cremorne, Mossman. You can do a big loop down through Lavender Bay, Kirribilli, Milson's Point, back up to North Sydney. And I was thinking about it, actually, you're running through, everyone that lives in these little homes, they made up their own little, cottage home, you know, and they've got very beautiful homes in this area. We're very fortunate to live in North Sydney, but yeah, they have no idea that they're living in like the exact same village as Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. They have achieved Salokya Mukti, Salokya, the perfection of living on the same place as Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. They are neighbors of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. They have no idea. Yeah, so if we can be attached to, if we can even just meditate on that as we're moving through Sydney, that this is Sri Sri Radha Gopinath's Dham, then we don't have to go to India, and we don't have to live in separation from Vrindavan, because we're in Vrindavan right here. Finally, there is one song by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Shuddha Bhakta Charana Renu. I think in the second last verse he says, or maybe the third last verse, he says something like that. Once while chanting Hare Krishna, I think he said that I saw my entire home, the walls of my home, become Goloka Vrindavan, right? And tasting the Charanamrita from the Supreme Lord, I could see the Ganga floating down from his lotus feet. So this is the symptoms, the ornaments of someone who is on the platform of Bhava. So if we can just have faith that Lord Vishnu is carrying us through that long and difficult process of anartha nivriti, then maybe we can get these very precious jewels. Again, one final thing, my spiritual master often says, sorry, I've gone over time. Krishna is not no cheap thing, right? And neither is Krishna Prem, right? Pure devotion, pure bhakti, pure love for Krishna is actually the very most valuable thing in all of creation, right? So we can't cheat Krishna. We can't, do some show of devotional service. We can't, pretend to serve the devotees, pretend to love the devotees. We can't chant inattentively and think that, gradually I'll get the most valuable thing in all of creation, right? Krishna Prem, pure devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Krishna is like that diamond, the diamond in the marketplace, and that is very expensive. So if you want to attain the complete perfection of life, one needs to give the complete surrender. So we should take this process very seriously, and we should not take these ornaments, these symptoms of a pure devotee very cheaply. And we should beg Lord Vishnu that we can, Lord Krishna, that we can get through this process of anartha nivriti as quickly as possible, to get situated in that permanent abode of Krishna Prem, right, the permanent dham of Goloka Vrindavan, right here in Sydney, without any risk of falling back down. Okay, I pray that everyone here can attain to that stage very soon as well, and then that they can come and save me and take me with them, by the grace of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath and all of the gurus of ISKCON, Srila Prabhupada, may that become so. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Sri Sri Radha Gopinath ki, ISKCON Sydney Yatra ki, ISKCON Sydney Dham ki, Jai, Jai Gaur Premanandi. Alright, it's 10 past. Let's go and relish the taste of prasadam. Ravi Shankar Prabhu, do you want to ask a question? No? You don't have to stick around for it. Mm. Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, so Ravi Shankar Prabhu is asking, here we're hearing about the intelligence
represented by the woman. He's asking, what about the mind, and what's the difference, or something like? Is that fair enough? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe in this allegory, I can't quite remember how the mind is represented. One thing I have heard is that there is an issue often with translation from, like in Sanskrit, there's a 1,000 different words just for love or for friend, or right. And similarly, the mind and intelligence, the subconscious, all of these things are given different names. Chitta, mana, buddhi, right? But in English, like, we kind of struggle to cover that. And often mind can be used, the word mind can be used to refer to all three, or just one of them. So I'm not saying that necessarily that's what's happening, but we hear that the senses, one of the senses is the mind as well, the master of the senses, or the king of the senses is the mind. So the senses which are accompanying the intelligence, right, the mind might be included there. But I don't want to suggest that that's necessarily the case. These are just my speculations. So maybe it will become clear as we go further through the chapter, Prabhu. Yeah. Hare Krishna.